At least 8 people died and more than 2,000 requested water rescues after Monday's historic flooding event. All morning long, our meteorologist Mike Iscovitz told viewers to stay off the roadways because of high water and hazardous road conditions. But some viewers contacted Fox 26 saying their employers were threatening to fire them if they didn't come to work. And that led to an epic rant from Mike that's gone viral now, chiding those employers who ignore flood warnings.
Would you rather risk getting fired or drowning? It's a tough decision. I know there's a lot of moms and dads out there trying to pay the bills. It's a tough decision to make. But if anybody got fired because they didn't go out to work in this, call us. Call me, call Emily Aiken, call our news desk, and we will expose that person on the air in front of millions of people and embarrass them. I will do that. I'm serious.
After a large response, Mike put the spotlight on Houston and Harris County, saying that the mayor and the county judge and emergency management officials should be the ones responsible for handling employers. So what are your rights as an employee? What should Mayor Sylvester Turner and County Judge Ed Emmett do in response to encouraging people to stay off the roads? Can they do anything to an employer who forces people to work? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page or weigh in on Twitter. Use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in our newsroom, our panel once again led by our senior legal analyst Chris Tritico, Democratic media consultant Mustafa Tamiz, and Republican strategist and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. All right, guys, you had schools closed. Parents were already in a tough situation. And a lot of folks, though, if you didn't turn on the news that morning, you didn't know how bad it was yet. Yeah. And then when you did find out, the employer said, too late, we're open.
Well, first, let me just say, good for you, Mike.
Yeah.
These are people who work for a living, and you're relying on this job, and you don't know what to do, and people don't stand up for these people. So good for you, Mike. Let me talk about the law for a minute. Texas is an at-will employment state, and that means that you can be fired for any reason, no reason, or a wrong reason. A wrong reason would be when your boss says, if you don't come to work in a 500-year flood, I will fire you. That's a wrong reason. And Mike Iscovitz was right. We should expose people who are that callous and that uncaring for human beings. But they can get fired for that because it is rooted in contract law, not in tort law. In other words, it's not a civil right to have this job. It is a contract. And if you don't have a written contract that says under what circumstances you can be fired for any reason. So the only thing we can do is expose them. I don't know what the law, there is no way to do anything other than expose them. The mayor can't hold them accountable. The county judge, Ed Emmett, can't hold them accountable other than to expose them for being callous.
That's what Mike did was important, right? He said there should be some public shaming for people like that. The challenge we have, and we don't talk about this very much, but the flooding didn't affect all neighborhoods. So you could have an employer sitting perfectly fine and dry in his home, pretending like he can go to work, and why other people can't make it because he just doesn't know where the water and how is it affecting different neighborhoods. And the other side to this is that really, we don't have empathy for working people anymore. It's more about the business community and the small business owner. But what about all the millions of people that get up in the morning and work hard every day to produce the things that we need in our country? We should be thinking more about them. And that, I think, is important.
To that end, I'm a small business owner.
So am I.
I closed my business that day. I paid my employees to stay home so that they wouldn't get hurt, but that cost me, out of my pocket, thousands of dollars to be closed that day.
Okay, we're all business owners, and we all closed our businesses that day because we are empathetic.
Right.
As Mustafa said, I mean, that was a very good point. I was sitting in my house. I live in Sugar Land. We didn't have any flooding, but we were out. We had school. The school was closed for 3 days, and in fact, the second or third day it was closed. I was like, really? Because just as he said, the impact was not really affecting us the way it was in certain parts in Houston.
Right.
However, I am empathetic to a lot of the residents in Houston. I did understand that. My office is in Houston, and I didn't want anyone who is affiliated with Bally Projects or doing anything with my firm to go out into that mess. The fact that Mike did that, I think that's wonderful, because employers who do make their employees go out, the only thing you can do is what Mike did, shame them. I just gave him a raise. Judge Emmett, Mayor Turner, they can't do anything. Government cannot impose certain viewpoints or rules
on private business
or policies on private businesses. But what they can do is what Mike did and embarrass them for making their employees doing that, to go into work in this mess. And it was horrible out there.
Let's go to Sally. She's covering our social media. I'm sure we have just one or two.
Yeah, only a few, right? Yeah, no, this definitely took off. And Huffington Post, Washington Post, everyone was talking about Mike this week. So let's go to a couple of the comments here. A lot of people, I mean, just about everyone is saying, way to go, Mike. Thank you. You're my favorite weatherman. You know, go, Mike. April says, you know, your opinion on air was enough. You took a stand. It's appreciated. Thanks for being a voice for the people. Here's a different side. Kelly says, the problem is you have to see it from the business owner's point of view. How many are claiming they can't come in when they really can, possibly forcing small businesses to close unnecessarily? But on Monday, I mean, really, there was no safe place with the tornado warnings, the rain coming down, even if you weren't flooded. I mean, it was not good to be driving in. And then Aaron says, you know, we need people to stop trying to go places in this as well. If no one goes to their store or their bar, they lose money, so they won't think of anything but being closed. And then Ginger adds, you know, she wants businesses to be held liable for the safety of employees who travel to and from work, or if an employee is that essential, they should provide a safe place to stay near work before the event happens.
Yeah, and so Kelly, you're just wrong. You're wrong, Kelly, and you need to rethink what you're doing to send your employees out in that on Monday. Tuesday we opened and it was hard to get to work. It took me almost 2 hours to get to work, but we opened on Tuesday and that was the right thing to do. Yep. But Kelly's wrong. Tell her, Mustafa, tell Kelly she's wrong.
Hold back on your opinion first.
No, you're wrong. Look, but I think thinking this thing through, the most dangerous time is when the flooding starts, which is very early in the morning, and people don't know exactly where the water is. Sometimes they're driving into a place, they think it's safe, it's still dark early in the morning, and they go into water.
Right.
The next day, the third day, you have a better understanding of where the water is. You leave at a certain time, so that first time when you start seeing the rain come down, it's critically important that people follow the directions of people like Mike.
And with this storm, it started at night, and you notice that Judge Emmett waited until daylight to have his press conference because he needed to have a very good assessment of it, and he couldn't do it when it was in the dark. And I want to thank Lisa for telling people, hey, it's about to rain, but it's not going to be as bad as it was last week, because now when people see rain, they are so fearful. The last time it rained, people were driving 10 miles an hour on the freeway.
All right, so I just want to say to that one person who tweeted, Mike's now my favorite meteorologist, you shouldn't have had to wait that long for Mike to be your favorite. We're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah.